RingGangRadio.com. Take over. Last mission. Final boss mode. What it do?
Yeah, but I guess speaking, I guess that'll be a good segue. Speaking since we're on that, on that label, we'll get into our first boxing topic of the night: Jamel Herring versus Jonathan Oquendo. That was on Saturday night on ESPN Plus. Pretty much it was Jamel Herring, who we well know he tested positive for COVID twice and had his fight pushed back twice. And finally the third time they got it right. He separated himself and probably took an extra zinc and shit like that. And he was good this time around. And I know. I guess in some conversations, internal conversations we had, I was like, how much of a struggle is it for him to keep making weight? I mean, because he fights at 130, and that must be a hell. And then, the guy's a Marine, so he's used to being in shape. Like, LB was saying, like, LB's Marines don't get fat. It's not in their DNA. Thing. So I mean, it's it was a good thing that he actually did make weight the third time. He made it comfortably. So we have the fight, and immediately the fight, you can tell it's gonna be on some rough shit. Oquendo did not come. Oquendo did not come to box with Herring. Oquendo came.
No, he came to throw heads.
Yeah, he came to throw heads or whatever. He wanted to to Tim Bradley himself a title, or Sean Porter himself a title.
Nah. He was more flagrant than fucking Bradley, and that's saying something.
I mean, Bradley used his fucking head all the time, bro, and this nigga used.
You didn't see the Nate Campbell fight?
No, but like Oquendo, like it was different when Bradley this guy just threw his head just like it was different. Like there was no finesse.
Hopkins with his right hand.
Yeah,
there was no finesse to the head movement.
Hell nah. Saying. But in the beginning, though, it seemed like Herring was actually able to handle that. Like, he kept, he kept the jab in his face or whatever, and he did step back, he did counter. I mean, he even scored a nice step back uppercut counter and drop dude. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is
handling him.
Yeah, he's handling him. He might actually stop this dude. But somewhere around like the fourth round or whatever, this dude hit the wall, Herring, and then. All of a sudden, he just couldn't keep Oquendo from actually coming in. Like, he wasn't doing nothing. And then this is where the headbutt started and the roughing up. And his eye was, I mean, it was a pretty bad cut. But I'm saying, you're thinking, he's a Marine. He's got to work through it. But then it got to the point where you think he's actually dropping rounds. I mean, I don't know about you, LB or P. From like rounds like maybe 5 to like 9, like did you think that Herring was actually dropping those rounds, getting roughed up like that, or do you think Herring had that under control by then, even as he was hitting the wall?
Somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, no, because the reason why I say that too, because I mean Ward,
he held his ground. He held his ground enough. But there were times where it did feel like he was slipping.
Right.
Yeah, but I only think Oquendo maybe took like 2 of those rounds.
That's what I'm saying. Two out of the 4.
To really sway the fight, but he was coming on strong. But he was still being held like he said.
Yeah, and I know like Andre Ward dropped his card for the fight, and then he had Herring winning, but slightly, like only by like 2 points or whatever. And I know Twitter kind of, I mean, Ward already got heat for being like a shill. So it's like...
He's been chilling his ass off lately. It's funny how the tables turned. Like, everybody thought Bradley was the shilling, and he had his little moments, but it's like Ward seems to go hard lately with it now.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Ward got the bag, so he's like, you know what, I'm going to shill. And then... And Ward was criticizing, but Bradley was really criticizing. Like Bradley really got in his feelings. Like he was telling everyone, like tell him why he was really mad. Bradley was like, You know, dude's not doing this, he's not doing that. You know, which takes us to the 9th round, where the fight ended, because it was after the 9th round, where Herring was telling the corner he couldn't see out of his eye. You know, and he kept on saying he couldn't see, and the referee and the doctor was like, "You want to continue?" He was like, "I couldn't see, I can't see." And then you really heard Bradley go off. It's like, "Oh no, you shouldn't be quitting like this. Why is he quitting? You know, you're a champion. You're supposed to like fight through adversity and all this stuff." Like, he was like, I mean, dude was going off so hard. I was like, "Why is Bradley criticizing?"
Yeah, like he took that shit personal.
Yeah, I
I mean, was he wrong though?
No.
I don't think so.
I mean, Herring is. I mean, I don't want to doubt Herring on that aspect. I mean, especially from what I know now of what what was actually reported, what happened. He put out his eye. I mean, it turned out that there was a couple things. He had a scratched retina. I don't even know. I mean, the eye injuries that boxers get in these fights, man, it's ridiculous. And then he had an old fracture around his eye that didn't heal, which is another weird thing. It's like, how many of these boxers are fighting with old eye fractures like that? Like, I mean, that's pretty dangerous.
Damn.
You know, so I mean, just given the extent of his actual injuries, I mean, I can't really fault him. But in this particular case, like in the heat of the moment, like you had Bradley Ward criticizing the hell out of him. Twitter,
because you're only given the heat of the moment to even say something. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like Galata Tyson. Like, we didn't know Tyson hit this man so hard where, he dislodged and dislocated damn shoulder blades and neck vertebrae.
Or the one time that Ortiz, stopped fighting, and it wasn't because, I mean, he quit because his jaw, he had probably one of the worst broken jaws I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
It's all in the moment. But the worst was like the social media just let him have it. This is like the Romero fight. Seems like what everyone was telling Romero, like he was garbage and he got a gift. Like, everyone was calling him quitter. Like, everyone was going in on Herring. Like, and it was like awful. And Herring's wife was like fighting people, saying that he was tired of this and all that. And then meanwhile in the ring, because the referee originally, the cut was ruled as an intentional headbutt. And so since Herring couldn't continue after that, unified rules states that Herring would actually win by disqualification. But it took him a while to actually get to that point. Like, it didn't seem like no one knew what was going on. Like, this is a decision? What's going on? Is this, does Herring lose his belt by TKO? Like, no one seemed to know what the fuck was going on in that fight afterwards. Like, it took him like 5 minutes to get to this point. Like, okay, it's unified rules. Herring won by disqualification. So, and that only fueled it. Like, it was ridiculous. Like, everyone was like, he found a way out of the fight. And what was worse was Jamel Herring got on the social media afterwards and was replying as like, "Guys, I'm sorry. Who are you to, question my heart?" And he was going back and forth with these trolls. And I'm like, yo, you shouldn't be doing that. You're showing all this weakness. Like, you should ignore all this. Dude's eye wasn't even stitched up. He's going back and forth with all these trolls, man. So it was just loaded with fuckery. Everyone's saying that he quit, and and then afterwards he's posting text messages of with his wife saying, "Let the Frampton fight be the retirement fight," and then that's it. Like, boxers shouldn't be doing that at all.
Yeah. Looking weak out in these boxing streets.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, especially when you have a Frampton fight, and Frampton is not going to take it easy on you.
Yeah.
You don't want to get all this confidence. It's like, all I need to do is just come in on you. What are you going to do to me? You just pretty much telling them that, hey, I can't handle pressure. I can't handle adversity. I'm mentally weak. So I'm just going to go in. I'm just going to beat you down until I stop you. And that was the vibe that most people got from that. Yeah, Herring. Like I said, we learned of the injuries afterwards. So, it is what it is, man. But I mean, if you're gonna go after Frampton, you better you better heal up. I mean, he's probably down for at least until probably January or February, and it's a shame though, because because most of us wanted to see the Frampton fight before the year is out, but unfortunately, it's one of those things like the fight turned into something that it shouldn't have, and injuries picked up. Man, so Jamel Herring, like I said, I don't think he quit, and given his vision, having his vision, it's whatever. But yeah, it just wasn't a good look overall. And Tim Bradley.
I don't know. I felt like it was like I got shades of. I'll just call it what it is. I got shades of Mikey Garcia when I was watching that. It was like, even if you want to say he didn't flat out flagrantly quit, seemed like he was looking for a way out. But
yeah, because he wasn't looking good.
Yeah, that was the other key, because Oquendo was coming on strong, so it was like,
Mikey Garcia was wiping the floor with Salido though.
Yeah, no, I mean, he was wiping the floor with Salido, but he was still then he showed a little bit of a little bit of pushback. And then it's broken nose. Quit. He seemed like he was just looking for a way out.
Yeah, I mean, that never sat right with me either. Although, like I say, Garcia was putting his foot in Salido's behind though, but. But once Salido started getting that second win, it seemed like Mikey kind of was like, you know what, this rough ass dude, I got paydays to go after. I can't have him doing all this wild shit. So, I mean, actually, I think it was like Robert Garcia that pulled him out of the fight more than Mikey saying that he didn't want to continue.
Little bro.
But the funny thing is too, in the Herring fight, even if they went to the cards, Herring was so far ahead anyway, because there was the knockdown, and there was a point deduction anyway. So
he had quite the comfortable lead.
Yeah, I mean, so even if Herring actually dropped the rest of the rounds, he would have still won.
This wasn't
basically
Bradley.
Yeah, so I mean, but like I said, it's just, I guess it's just one thing, because I mean, Herring as a 130 champion, but I think it just counts. I mean, in terms of champions, do you think? I mean, is he the weakest 130 champion?
Wait, hold on. Is he the weakest 130 champion? I don't know about that now.
The most vulnerable of the 130 champions.
He ain't beating JoJo.
Yeah, vulnerable. You could say that.
You would pick Herring to beat JoJo Diaz? You serious?
I have to think about that one. Wow. I feel like he would beat. I feel like he would beat Burchell. So Herring would beat Burchell.
Wow.
See the thing about that particular fight is when that whole thing was being explored, Burchell was
50-50
fight, and Burchell was after he saw Herring beat Ito, Burchell was like, nah, I don't want to fight this dude, give me Valdez, we'll brawl Mexican style. And I always felt that Burchell saw something in that fight for Herring that he didn't like too much.
Yeah, Herring's size.
Yeah.
Yeah, his prime.
Yeah, so I mean, and personally, and I always thought Burchell could probably beat Herring, but there was something about Burchell's demeanor about that whole thing that never sat right with me. Dude,
I mean, I'd favor Herring. Like I said, I'd favor Herring over Burchell. So I don't know, but I feel like I'd favor Burchell over JoJo Diaz. I don't know if we're doing the whole triangle theory thing.
Yeah, that's just crazy.
Frankly, I'm surprised that JoJo Diaz actually became 130.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of just I'm holding off on JoJo Diaz until he beats wins the rematch again. So
whenever they can come to terms, JoJo.
Yeah.
Yeah, JoJo Diaz doesn't.
Damn, so he didn't beat him one-sided enough the first time. Wow. King P needs another 118-110 decision.
Basically.
You know what I'm saying? Though, I mean, it's gonna be interesting. But Herring going forward, though, it's got to be careful because if it's not Frampton that's that's on the horizon, it's Shakur Stevenson.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the WBO is saying that he has to fight Shakur soon. So I think whoever wins the Herring Frampton fight is gonna have to fight Shakur. So,
yeah. So I mean, like I said, Herring got got all the time in the world to like recover and stuff, but he has to be very cognizant of the fact that going forward, you can't really do all these things on social media. You gotta keep your stone face going, bruh. You don't want to show weakness in front of these.
Yeah, get off that social media, man. Purge yourself from that shit.
Exactly.
After the fights like this and before leading up to it, you don't need to see that shit. Especially if you're that sensitive, bro. It's just the way it is.
Exactly, man. So I mean, we look forward to his return at some point. And then the other main fight, had its own fuckery with Yordenis Ugas versus shit, why am I forgetting dude's name already?
Abel Ramos.
Yeah, Abel Ramos.
I was about to say Jesus, but I'm like, wait, wrong Ramos.
That's the wrong Ramos. Yeah. In that fight, I mean, I don't think any of us really expected anything crazy to happen in that fight. Ugas is Ugas, and Ramos. Ramos got in there because he scored a 1 second, left.
And last minute, like mashed the R1 button down, and it just the Hail Mary of all Hail Marys.
Exactly.
Yeah, as some would call it, a lucky punch.
Yeah, someone would call it a lucky punch, nigga. So, anyways, I mean the fight itself was very mid. It wasn't anything spectacular, except for the 2 times that Ramos actually rocked his ass, early in the fight. Early in the fight, and then in the last 10 seconds.
Yeah, in the last round, because Ugas was being the fucking dummy, right?
Yeah, But Ugas, I mean, for God bless his heart, he was trying for a highlight reel knockout. I mean, dude was throwing, overhand rights like he was throwing a fucking baseball, and at one point almost fucked himself up because
their right hand overhand shit he threw. I hate watching that. He damn near he threw himself out the ring with that punch.
Yeah, he threw him 4 times, and Ramos saw it every single fucking time and didn't get hit with that shit.
Who you trying to knock out with that punch, man?
I'm saying, it was serious. And then the other thing too was Ugas landed a crazy amount of jabs, the most jabs he ever landed in the fight. Pretty much, if you see his punch count, half of it is literally jabs, and and it wasn't a type of jabs. It wasn't like an Ike Cortez jab, where if you throw the type of jabs that like that, then his face will get busted up. Ramos at the best, had some trademarks under one of his eyes, and that was pretty much about it. And Ramos never really did anything to actually try to disrupt it. He wouldn't let his hands go. I mean, he didn't know how. He wasn't getting on the inside. Ugas was just pretty much throwing a jab to jab, and then occasionally he'll throw a 2-3 punch. And I think a couple of times he even threw a 4-punch combination. Ooh.
Yeah, he be economical, but not economical. It's crazy. I was telling King P this through Texas. I was like, bro, with Uga's style, he should be able to produce knockouts. But he fights in these damn methodical, spurts where he'll get off shots, but they're not meaningful. They're he's like the Eddie Curry of boxing in a way. The numbers look good, but watching him get it, you're like, yeah, okay, he's there, yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, because Ugas, it takes. It's not he's not capable of being disrupted. I mean, we've seen the Delorme fights, Ray Robinson fights. When he does go on the offensive or has to, he does what he needs to do. But most of the time, if he can't be bothered to get out of first gear, he doesn't. And you get performance like he did against Ramos.
Yeah.
But
the only time I felt like he really should have gotten a stoppage was against Figueroa, because it was there. It was there for the stoppage.
Yeah, he should have got that one.
That fight. I was like, when you can make an Omar Figueroa fight boring, you got a hell of a style.
Yeah, thanks. Damn, they wasted damn Figueroa's on that fight.
Yeah, you know, at a fire first round, and the rest of the 11 rounds were just struggle to watch.
Yep.
Goodness, you know, and then but the fuckery came, you know, when they called the cards. When that motherfucker said we have a split decision, I was talking with my dad about that. I was like, my dad was like, you know, we're talking. I was like, yeah, like this dude really won this fight, you know, clear like 9-10 rounds easy. And we were in the middle of talking, and we heard a split. I was like, oh, dad, look, this is a split decision. And he was like, what? And I was like, there was no split decision.
Yeah, and I said the same thing. Like with my aunt, because me and my aunt were watching it, and my aunt's like, what do you mean split decision? Like, kind of, I'm like, yeah, I'm like, oh, somebody's gonna get robbed.
Yeah, so I remember I leaned forward in my chair, and then they rattled off the first score, 117-111 for Ramos. I was like, there we go. That's fuckery right there.
Yeah.
Ain't no fucking way. Ain't no fucking way Ramos won 9
rounds. Yeah.
There's no fucking.
I would struggle to give him 4 rounds. The fuck.
Yeah, that's true. I would definitely struggle to give him 4 rounds.
You know what I'm saying? And of course, that wonderful score was from Dr. Lou Moret, who's had some very questionable scores in his past. And
shame on you.
And then most likely, this it brings up an old conversation we had about judges. Like, there's some judges that probably need to be forcibly retired from actually doing this shit.
CJ Ross.
Adelaide Bird.
I mean, I think Lou Moret pretty much was like, you know what? You know, fuck this. You know, I don't like Cuban boxers, so let me just fill this shit out, and hopefully it goes this way. Now I'm gonna take this little nap during this fight or whatever, or text somebody. You know, try to call some women or whatever. I think that was his mentality in this fight. To give a 117, 111 ain't
awful. But all the scores were horrible though, because 115, 113 is just as bad. Like
I remember. I'm like, this, like that's not even that was the right one. Like, no fucking way. Like,
we should have got like
no semantic battle here.
No semantic battle here. We should have been getting like 118, 120, 117, 111. Like,
pretty much.
No way we should have been hearing 116, 112, 115, 113.
Or if you're gonna hear 117, 111, that would be for Ugas, not for no fucking Ramos. Like,
that's what I'm saying in general. But that's what the score should have been in general for Ugas.
Like, which pretty
115, 113 is horrible. Like,
which means pretty much had Ramos actually scored a knockdown, he might have won the fight. You know,
if Ramos would have legit won 4 or 5 rounds, he would have won the fight. And that's Ugas' fault, because his style isn't conducive to producing dominant rounds.
Spoiler.
Like, he takes his, like, he'll stand in front of you and it'll look like he could get off shots, but he'll choose to just jab and then slightly mix it up, then go back to it. He's like so methodical. Like, I would love to see him finally fight like another elite guy and see what happens with someone really.
Because he's a big guy. He should be fighting like he's a 154 guy instead of a struggle 147 sometimes.
Yeah, like he fights like he's a lightweight moving up.
Yeah, but I think too his power is not translating at welterweight like that. So that's part of the reason.
Because he's not putting the punches together. Like, he's not throwing them to.
No, but that's the thing. I think he has power. So
but you got to put it together. Like, I think he has enough power. It's just he's not putting the punches together for the stoppage. Like,
I thought he had buzzed Porter a couple of times, but he just didn't do anything to capitalize on it.
Right.
Like, he's one of those guys who. He doesn't really beat you up. Like, he kind of boxes you up, and he has a style where he's supposed to really beat you up,
but he doesn't, because he's not too physical.
Yeah, which is crazy because he looks big and strong, and it's like look like he can even go up to 154, and it's like, bruh, like, you know, he's fighting like Jacobs did against Golovkin and Canelo.
Yeah,
kind of like you big for nothing.
And this might just be a product of the Cuban style. Like, I mean, Cuban style is very defensive. Like, I mean, it's not like Laura's style. I mean, Laura throws like 2 punches. You know, Laura actually throws more than that, but he doesn't.
But Laura's more active. Like, Laura understands his style more so than who's this guy we talking about? Ugas.
Yeah, no.
Like Ugas is like he's trying to be like a cute boxer, but you're fighting on your front foot and you're leaned over. You know you're there to take punches, but you're blocking parry well, but you're not letting your hands go enough.
And then you do that, you get this fuckery like this, where judges is like, yeah, like you lucky we can't really rob you like that, but let it be known if you go down in a fight, you're losing this fight.
Yeah, because Ramos was in front of him all night, still swinging counters and shit.
Yeah.
And landing every so often, but he wasn't gonna win rounds that way. So like it's like he could hit the target all night, and it's like, dude, why you letting a dude who could hit you and hurt you stay at this level for so long when you could have really beat him the fuck down and took him out of there?
Right. So I mean, it's gonna be tough. I mean, so right now, pretty much Ugas has a WBA paper belt, a
GameStop belt.
GameStop.
You know it's bad when even Spence is going on Twitter like, wait, how is he like? Even now, boxers are like, wait, who has this belt? Why do they have this belt? Because this guy has the real belt. Like,
yeah, and of course it makes it funny. It makes the conversation I had with BJ Flores sometime back on Twitter even more funny, because when boxers are like, get the fuck out of here with this, but you have some boxers who never won shit talk about it's great. You're just like you can tell who actually won some shit.
Those are dudes who they made everybody a champion type of kid. Everybody got a trophy ass kid.
Participation trophy.
Yeah, participation trophy. Like,
yeah.
And for showing up all week today, you get this. Like, oh.
Everybody gets a pizza party.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I mean, like, Ugas is not a champion. Like, I mean, obviously we follow the sport. We all know who the WBA welterweight champion of the world is, and that's Manny Pacquiao. He's the top dude, and WBA needs to get rid of these fucking belts. Stop. There's no need for 3 or 4 champions in the same fucking division. There's one.
Yeah. Please, let's get rid of all these interim belts, regular belts, GameStop belts, ECW belts. Like,
WB needs to stop. Someone needs to stop this madness. Like, fuck out of here with these belts. Because I don't like Ugas calling himself champion in his tweets, like he's been doing. It's like, you're not a fucking champion until you get in the ring with Manny Pacquiao and beat him. You're not the WBA champion. You're just like third in line or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
But then I've had people on Twitter and like people I know in life, like in real life, be like, but how is that any different than when a fighter wins a vacant belt? Like, what? Like, why are you gonna compare the two? Like, yeah, it's still, whether it's vacant or not, it's a real belt. This isn't a real belt. Like,
yeah, especially when the champion is there and he's active somewhat, and he's not.
Yeah.
So it's just like the WBA needs to stop this madness. Stop sanctioning every fucking fight from niggas that are actually ranked in their rankings for a belt. It's stupid.
Yeah, whole ass championships.
Yeah, but at least Ugas at least got himself in a position where it's just like, I mean, obviously he's been calling out people. It just depends on who's actually going to get in the ring with him next.
Word.
Oh man, but yeah.
Me, I'll take a rematch reporter. I'll take, if he's ready if he's ready come December. Why not Ugas Thurman? You know what I'm saying?
Oh. Damn, you're fired as matchmaker.
Nigga, we gotta get these guys fucking active somehow.
Like, Jamal James or Virgil Ortiz. That's it.
Like, Thurman ain't been active. Get him a Thurman off the couch for Thurman coming off the couch. This isn't a bad matchup. Like, the hell.
Nah. Joseito Lopez coming was supposed to be a good matchup too.
Yeah.
like you guys is somebody you don't just come out off a long layoff to fight, bro. Like, you gotta respect him a little more than that.
Yeah, no. Like I say, Ugas is not a scrub. Like I say, I mean, if you take him lightly, he is dangerous. He is very dangerous. You shouldn't.
Oh, I know that.
Like I said, because I mean, because Ugas, you really have to box that man. Else,
I'll work on.
Yeah, exactly. So it's good. It's going to be interesting to see what Ugas going forward. I mean, he's a player in the division for now. I mean, he's either going to wait out until some of these cats go up to 154 or retire or whatever. But he himself, I mean, he has to make moves now. I mean, he's in his early 30s, so it's not like he has all these years of prime left. Like he has to make moves in the next 2 years at least. So it'll be interesting to see. That's for damn sure. Because welterweight is due for a shift. So Ugas may benefit or he may not, but he'll be around.
It's gonna be Swift. Swift gonna cause that shift when he beats Spence, and then everybody gonna look at Thurman like, well, damn.
Yeah.
You got all these wins over all these guys. and they look like they doing, and they look like they getting bigger wins than you. So it's crazy.
It's gonna be interesting going for welterweight and for Ugas how he fits in the future, in the very near future. So for our final boxing, it's not our final boxing topic. For our next boxing topic has to do with retirement. Retired boxers coming out of retirement, part 2. Now, there's been a lot of interest, of course, with Mike Tyson and Roy Jones fighting. And then, of course, we have Evander Holyfield, also training for some sort of fight. We don't know if it's exhibition or not. But for some reason, this also sparked some other fighters that are like, you know what? I have millions, but I'm bored with my life. So I want to go back in the ring and fight again. I'm speaking about three specific fighters. The first fighter is Sergio Martinez. Now, Sergio Martinez in his prime, he was a bad dude. I mean, he got a late start in his boxing game. He had a bad early loss to Antonio Margarito. Then he regrouped. Went to 154. Had a brief reign as champion. I think after Vernon Forrest died, I think he was the champion. And then he reached the peak of his career by beating Kelly Pavlik by decision, which I put my fist like, yes, can't stand Kelly Pavlik, and then he won 2 of the middleweight belts and the lineal distinction, and then he followed that up by knocking out Paul Williams in 2 rounds, for the KO of the year, and this was after he fought, one of the more underrated fights of the years with Paul Williams and losing a close war. To us, except one judge. So I mean, Sergio had some highs, and then the lows were, of course, like the fuckery between his WBC belt and the WBC one to give Chavez Jr. a belt, which led to them actually fighting. And although Sergio Martinez beat the hell out of Chavez, Chavez, nearly won the fight in the 12th round and inflicted some horrible leg injuries. And then after that, Sergio Martinez wasn't the same.
Yeah, like he kind of got a gift in the Martin Murray fight.
Hell yeah, he did.
Like he got a gift in that shit.
And then afterwards, the Cotto fight was pretty much, the man was virtually crippled, and Cotto, Cotto took probably a big risk, with a 159 catch weight. Ooh, and then Cotto. Yeah, he had nothing for Cotto, and Cotto just pretty much blasted him, from round 1 until, round 10 when he finally stopped the fight, and then Sergio Martinez, pretty much quietly retired. Did he actually go into the Hall of Fame yet, or no?
Who, Cotto?
No.
He ain't been retired long enough.
I thought, it probably would have been this year because it's supposed to be 5 years or so. But either way, Sergio Martinez was like, he was like, I'm gonna fight again, and you're like, and we all remember the guy. We all remember the dude that was like hobbled and crippled and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So he put the videos and pics of him training, and he actually had an actual fight against a journeyman, which he won. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, maybe this is a one-time deal. But then the WBA, in its infinite wisdom, decided to rate this dude, give him a ranking of 6 for the middleweight division. Like, why? Why would you want to do that? Dude beat a scrub. Why is he ranked 6? Why do you?
Let's just speed up the process. He want to get retired for real.
Yeah, exactly. And then Sergio Martinez, even after I was talking about, I'm going to be back in December to fight, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is this dude is really serious. Like, dude is about 45 years old, and he still wants to do this. And I'm just like, why? Why do you want to do this? Like, why are people enabling this? Like, it's not going to end well for Sergio Martinez if he keeps doing this. And then we have Oscar De La Hoya, who was even more of a surprise too, because Oscar at his peak, was pound for pound, like 6, titles in 6 divisions. Dude, a whole bunch of classic fights. Dude was the draw. He took over the draw from the heavyweights and remained that. Pretty much. It's very hard for anyone in his prime to actually dictate terms to him. Even Floyd had to bow down to him for their one and only fight. And the Floyd fight was pretty much, I think, the last of Oscar's peak. And then afterwards, he had the Steve Ford fights, which was awful to watch. And then you had Pacquiao, because Oscar decided, you know what, I'm gonna drain for this fight. And I lost money on this fucking fight too, because one of the draining shit. And I had money.
Yeah, that was a bad investment.
Well, Oscar was big as fuck. He fought out in the middleweight. I'm thinking to myself, he'll rehydrate and then he'll knock Pacquiao out. That's how I was thinking. So obviously,
because you're a natural bully, you was thinking like how a big nigga think.
Yeah, exactly. And imagine, Pacquiao just pretty much destroys this man in 8-9 rounds or whatever, and makes him quit.
Bodies him, retires him.
Yeah,
embarrasses him.
And then Oscar pretty much, his antics as a promoter and as a person made you forget that Oscar was a bad man, because dude kept on getting into trouble. Alleged drug use. Dude would be coming to events a little bloated, a little sweaty, a little not there,
and fishnets and all that other stuff.
Yeah. And then his alternative activities.
Yeah, but he on coke and he started just wilding out.
Allegedly on coke.
Yeah, allegedly. And allegedly wilding out.
Exactly, but all of a sudden, this dude is like, you know what? And he's a successful promoter, but he's like, you know what? I want to come back and fight. And then all of a sudden, you see him actually putting in that work. He's actually training. He's hitting the speed back. He's jump roping. He's actually looking like he's actually losing weight. And you're thinking to yourself, dude is in his 40s, like he's like 47, 48 or something like that. Why does a promoter who's completely doesn't need the money, why does he want to fight again? And then, the rumor mill's talking about, I'm gonna fight Canelo, the person who he actually promotes, or I'm gonna come back to 154, and and Jamel Charlo's like, I'll fight you, all this type of stuff. And I'm just like, why are people encouraging this? And Oscar's over there, and Oscar's taking it really serious, and it's just like, why do you want to fight? If there's one person who doesn't need to fight, is this dude. He doesn't need it. Doesn't need money.
Makes me think like, damn, y'all weren't satisfied with your careers when y'all was really boxing?
Yeah, and it wasn't like, Oscar had reached peaks of the peaks. It wasn't like he didn't leave. Basically, there was very little that he didn't do in boxing. So it's just weird to see someone who's actually a promoter is actually trying to fight. I'm like, who are you gonna fight? Is this just? We don't know. Is it applied to, considering that he doesn't think none of his other fighters are draws, so he has to actually do this.
They're getting the itch again. It's all these guys are getting the itch again.
Yeah.
It's awful, man. And then the worst of this is, Chris Bird the other day saying that he wants to fight again. And I mean, dude looks like Uncle Ben now, and he looks like a anorexic Uncle Ben. And and the worst thing is, he says he wants to come back and fight at 160, his Olympic weight, because he was on the same Olympic team as Oscar, and he won the.
This nigga tripping. This
Silver
nigga's
medal.
on. I think this nigga's on blood.
Yeah, and then the worst thing. Now, I'll say this for this. I mean, Chris Bird didn't learn his lesson, because originally before, Chris Bird spent the majority of his career, I'm talking about 90% of his career at heavyweight. And dude fought monsters. He fought both Klitschko's, Vlad twice. He fought Ike Ibeabuchi. He fought Evander Holyfield. He fought Andrew Galati. He fought David Tua. Like, he fought a lot of big dudes.
Just leave Jamil McCline, like everybody.
Yeah, Burt Cooper, like Jimmy Thunder. Like, he fought a lot of big dudes. And when you fight big dudes like that, that's a lot of wear and tear on a body. And eventually, his downs. I mean, pretty much Chris Bird's last hurrah was against McCline, because dude really was fighting for his life against McCline. I mean, because he gave up so much weight that it pretty much it finished him. Bird even said it finished him, and then of course he'd lose his belt to Vlad again. Vlad decisioned him the first time around, but Vlad made sure he put him away the second time. And then he'd lose to Povetkin. And then he decides, you know what? I'm going to drop down to light heavyweight. I'm going to drop, almost 50 pounds. And I'm going to have an advantage now. But the problem
That was terribly wrong.
Yeah, the problem is you have, your advantage was being able to be faster than the heavyweights. When you drop down that much weight, you're not faster than an actual light heavyweight, especially a light heavyweight who's actually been there. And dude literally got beaten up by Sean George, a guy who wasn't even fighting a year even after he actually won that fight. Like, he was out of the sport. But Chris Bird looks so horrible. I mean, it's his last American fight. Fight on American TV. He had one more fight, but then he just quietly retired.
Yeah.
But then in retirement, Chris Bird was complaining all them fights he had nerve pain. He had to smoke cannabis to help him with it. All types of stuff. Like, he had to do all types of therapy, and now he actually wants to, he wants to repeat the same mistake he made, dropping all that weight by saying, I want to fight at 50 years old at middleweight. And Chris Bird didn't have the peaks that Oscar or Sergio did, but the dude was in the mix for a long time. I mean, he was a top heavyweight for a good amount of time.
Yeah.
But it's just like, you see this, and it's
you
just
never got that one money fight like that where Sergio got it with Chavez and Cotto, and Oscar was the money fight. So
yeah, exactly. And then probably at close from. Maybe Holyfield might have been a money fight for him, but I think, or maybe the Klitschko's, maybe the Vlad, but I think that's pretty much about it for him. Or
the Vlad rematch more so.
Yeah, no, but. Yeah, it just seems like, you're complaining about nerve pain. Like, why do you want to fight again? Like, why do you want to do this? It's like, it's dangerous. Like, I don't even think, do you think Duke could even get licensed for that? I don't like this little thing of retired fighters coming out, of retirement, way out of their primes, thinking they can do something, because God forbid something happens. Like, we've had fighters that fought too long recently and got brain bleeds, brain hemorrhages, like Superman. Like, dude was active, but he stayed, but he was champion late, and he kept his title long enough into his 40s where it became a liability for him when he started really slowing down. He couldn't rescue himself out with his power. So it's just like, why do these fighters want to fight? Like, they're millions.
And that's 38 years old compared to 47 and 50.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, this is something I'm not with all of this, because it's like, basically, and the wild thing is too, if they come back, they'll probably get more attention than like the fighters of today. Well, maybe not Chris Bird per se, but Oscar definitely.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and Sergio started getting some attention. So it's just like, personally, I think some of these, the commission should really take a hard look at this and be like, okay, no, we're not gonna issue you licenses. Like, you guys are way retired. You guys don't need the money. You know, you guys need to stay in retirement and just, you know, be retired.
Honestly, I think that's what's gonna happen as far as Chris Bird's situation. Like you can just look at him and say, like, he not fit to be boxing nobody. Like,
yeah, and Juice says he's in shape. Like, I mean, you can be in shape, yes, because you can run all the marathons in the world you want, but it doesn't mean you're in boxing shape.
yeah, like, so, you know, that I don't even want to speak on that no more. I don't even want to get that more attention. Like, just, you know, do something else, Chris Bird. Like, you're a legend to me.
Chris
So.
Bird, Oscar, you know, you have a promotion, you have a, you need to get some Golden Boy cards going on the zone. I mean, you need to get this Canelo situation out, you know, in control. Like, that should be the big thing on your mind, not fighting again. Sergio Martinez should just flat out retire. Like, dude should not be out here trying to tempt fate. Like, because the wrong middleweight will most likely beat the hell out of him at some point.
Yeah.
That is for damn sure.
If he thought Cotto beat his ass, then nah, he don't want. Imagine a Charlo or even a Golovkin now. Like, man, he'll get hurt.
Yeah, exactly.
When Munguia beat the shit out of Sergio.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, hell, even Don will probably beat the hell out of Sergio.
Yeah, like, I don't want to see it. So, enough of that, man. Let's get into this damn real shit, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah.